Hi. Okay, let's try this again. Marcus, hi if you're there. Please send a request to go live with me. I'm really excited to get into this conversation with you. Hi Rochelle, welcome. We're just waiting for Marcus to send a request to join. Happy September. Akuna, hi, super cool. Yes, honey, these are such good shirts, such good quality, so soft. Yes, okay, yes. Hi everyone, welcome. I'm super excited to be getting into this topic today. Welcome everyone. Looks like the internet connection is better. Yay! Hello.
Hi. I'm
Hola.
very sorry. I'm kind of late. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No problem. Bom dia, meu
Bom dia.
irmão.
Yeah. Very good Portuguese. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
well, from a lifetime ago. How are you?
Your Portuguese has this Brazilian accent. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I learned Brazilian Portuguese,
Yeah.
which is more beautiful to me than European Portuguese.
It's more melodical in a sense. Yeah.
It's like a dance. It has that swing to it. Yeah.
I agree on that. Yeah, totally. Although we have many
So
different accents.
welcome everyone. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, and I also had not the greatest internet connection, but now it looks like it's steady, and we have Marcus with us. I'm super excited to have you here. But before we begin, this is something I forgot to do last week, and I think it's just such a nice idea before we kind of talk and go into like cognitive activity. If we can just take a moment to sit, or wherever you are, if you're on the bus or walking, just take care. Maybe not, and if you're driving, but I no, you're probably not watching an IG while you're driving, at least I hope not. But if we can just take a moment to ground ourselves in body, mind, nervous system. So I invite you to feel your seat making contact with a floor or chair or wherever you're situated. And if the breath is an anchor for you, you might begin to just notice the inhale and the exhale. If the breath is triggering for whatever reason, I invite you just to continue feeling yourself grounded and making that connection with the steadiness of the earth underneath you. And even amidst all this chaos, confusion, overwhelm, fatigue, this incredibly powerful time to be alive in the history of life as we know it, can we find ways to take refuge? And you might close your eyes if you wish, or keep them open as you like. And if you are continuing to allow the breath to be a point of awareness, we might take 3 deep conscious rounds of inhale and exhale together. And as you are slowly ready, you might open your eyes if they've been closed. What's up, sis? Nice to see you. So thank you so much, Marcus, for agreeing to come on here this day. I know it's noon for you and it's 6 p.m. for us.
Yeah.
And so, Marcus, if you can please just introduce yourself, how you are showing up today. Yeah, whatever you wish to share with folks so that people know who you are and how we met, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, thank you very much, Wombi. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I appreciate very much the invitation. And this kind of lives for me are new, so I'm trying to get used to new kind of technology for me, and I'm more analogical guy because of academy and university. Yeah, I work at the university. I've been studying and teaching philosophy for the past several years, and I have a position, a permanent position in a public federal university in Brazil, in a city called Recife, in Pernambuco. It's northeast part of Brazil. Brazil is a great country in many senses of greatness here, and geographically now speaking, and I hold a chair for philosophy here. Yeah, so and I've been practicing yoga for the last 5 years, and in the last 3 years I have this daily practice, and I've been practicing Ashtanga and for the last 3 years. I'm not really a teacher. I'm a practitioner, and I care very much for all the things that you are doing so greatly there about the racial democracy and diversity and solidarity, and building this kind of net of solidarity, and trying to make yoga really transformative, and yoga more inclusive, yoga for all people, and this is very important in Brazil in our social reality here. So we have university and also yoga, and I'm trying to, with my work, trying to spread a little bit and make this more inclusive for people, for poor people here, and also for Black people, which in Brazil is more or less the same. Poor, Black, unfortunately. And yeah, this is the kind of thing that I have. So this account, this Yoga na Federal, Federal is the way that people call the university here in my city, in Recife. I'm not really from Recife, I'm from Rio de Janeiro. I was born there, but I do love this part of Brazil, and I feel really connected here. So yeah, this is a kind of a social program that is for free for the community at my university, and we are giving classes on Ashtanga Yoga here for everybody. I think
nice. Beautiful, thank you. It sounds like in combination with your university work and your yoga work, there's a nice combination of like the kind of analytical, cognitive, intellectual stuff, and this very sort of like practical, indigenous wisdom of yoga. And so can I ask, how long have you been now in Recife?
Yeah, I'm not that long here in Recife.
Okay.
Me and my girlfriend, my partner, we're living here for the last 2 years.
Okay.
I mean, this kind of academic work, once you got specialized in a sense,
yeah,
you have to go where the positions are. The positions
right.
are all over the places, and you have to focus on the position, not on the city. But I do like this part of Brazil, the Northeast, and also it's a capital. It's a great place. Recife has a cultural big heritage, so I enjoy myself being here.
Nice. And so I know we had been emailing, and there were some themes and topics that obviously our interests overlap and intersect together, and you had mentioned some certain topics that you wish to speak on. So you know, I just kind of like to hold space for us to have an organic conversation and dialogue for, you know, whatever comes up and whatever is of value and interest, and really just an opportunity for people to know you, for people to know the kind of work going on, the initiatives that you're doing with Yoga na Federal, which is to provide accessible yoga for socially disadvantaged folks in your town. So perhaps you can talk a little bit about that first, and how has maybe COVID affected this, if at all?
Yeah, I have this kind of more analytical mind because of my academic work, so I kind of trying to write down, not
sure.
to lose track of my
I can take your lead for sure. Whatever you wish, the stage is yours, my friend. I'm more a kind of a, I didn't continue in higher education, so I'm kind of a little more fluid in that way. So however you wish to do it, it's yours.
Much more talented, much more beautiful, much more intelligent than I am. Yeah? So, I mean, thank you for the space again.
Absolutely. So however you wish to present it,
yeah, I would like to thank you for this space and for having, I'm seeing some students from Brazil here too, watching you, and every time I can, and I also try to make public the work you are doing, and watch some lives that you've done with
I appreciate that. I've noticed your solidarity and sharing.
It's amazing work. Yeah, and after this, I mean, we are in this pandemic. We have some time to think, you know, in our what we are doing in the world, and with this Ashtanga, we have this daily practice, which is very can be very deep in our emotions too, and looking back, these back bendings, and open the chest and try to look at the past and open for the future. So this is a very a deep transformation for me too. Yeah? So, and this last month with this George Floyd thing, I can breathe, and also this Black Lives Matter and all this political situation in Brazil, social situation. We are trying to hold the space again. We are not having this kind of classes at the university because of the pandemic, but we have this online account, this account for our program, our social program there. This Yoga na Federal, this Instagram and then YouTube. So we are putting free content about yoga and trying to mobilize our community here to think about how yoga can be transformative and also socially transformative too, in a sense.
Absolutely.
And try to bring this political and social connotation and meaning for yoga too. So this is a very important thing. We have this individualistic point of view in these social networks, where the individual is there doing the yogis are doing this kind of crazy asanas, this flexibility and strength and acrobacy like a gymnast, and also this, unfortunately, this kind of transformative level and social power and for politics too, of autonomy and also freedom, and also this kind of more political and ethical view of ahimsa, non-violence, disrupting violence is kind of lost there. So this is the kind of work we're doing. On the one hand, we have the university. On the other hand, we have this yoga, and we are trying to bring this together. Why? Because we really believe this deep inside that these two places, university and also yoga, these two things can be very transformative.
Yes.
And unfortunately, both places in Brazil are for rich people and for white people and for white folks. Yeah. So and yoga can be even worse. Yeah, even worse than a university.
I believe it. I believe it.
What we're trying to do is to bring these things together and build a real network in Brazil of universities and yoga, and we are trying to see that how university can be a toxic place because of the
Yes.
competition and individualistic point of view of things, and publishing, and getting the positions and positions. And also yoga can be individualistic with all these asanas and beautiful pictures, selfies in Instagram and of yourself in front of a beautiful temple, and this kind of crazy. So we are trying to bring the positive sides of both into one program. So for everybody.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that. You said a whole wealth of rich stuff that can be unpacked. And I think, like, I've heard it called the Instagram effect of yoga. And for me, it really kind of is such a distortion of the most outward appearance of what yoga is. And this is where I really see where whiteness and capitalism and the commodification of wellness, and what to mention of cultural appropriation, this is all what I see happening when you look at what is called like this yoga industrial complex, right? And so I just love the initiative you're doing. And I'm just curious, like, has it been well received for the demographic that you are trying to reach? Or is the idea of yoga something that only rich white Brazilians do? Like, what is the perception of yoga in Brazil amongst your target audience, for lack of a better word?
Yeah. So that's a interesting question too, and I think that why I'm using the university to do that, because I'm already there. Yeah, I have this position there, and the permanent one, and I have this autonomy, and I can do pretty much wherever I want. And I would like to do something more relevant for my society. In a sense, we publish, we do research and publish papers, but these papers are not much read in a sense. We have the reviewers, and maybe 3 or 4 people can read them because
Nobody's
they're
reading them.
It's very boring. Yeah.
Nobody's reading them.
Yeah. So the university is public here. My university is public. It's a federal university and belongs to the government, and there is a free place. I mean, I do not really have to pay for the places there, and to offer things for the community, so we can get inside the communities and give back to the community the kind of benefits that the community is giving to the university through the taxes and this kind of things. Yeah. So it's a great place. There is already security there. There are the free places. We have the bathrooms there. So we just look for a room and then give our what we know of yoga. So and for many people at the university, one surya to learn one surya, and is something transformative. It can be very useful for the daily pressures, in a sense, competitive, individualistic thing. The cases of anxiety, depressions, burnout syndrome, and this is high on the top. So with yoga can help the community inside the university.
Right.
And the community outside because they can get into the university and use the things there. And what is interesting, because we have this kind of shock too, we already have this pointed, which is we also have this abstract think, analytical think, and also yoga brings this down and to the earth, and very humble, the breathing, also to connect with your body, not with your intellect, mind. So it's a very kind of clash in a sense. So bring the intellectual to their bodies again. But on the other hand, we have this kind of thing, which is intellectuals, the people at the university, they do not really see yoga as something valuable in a sense. Yoga is kind of it's not that relevant in a sense.
Mm.
Yeah, kind of gym, and it's a kind of acrobacy, and it's, and I think it's the Instagram and also the Facebook thing is also to blame, yeah, because what people outside yoga see of yoga is this skinny people doing flexible, crazy things with the body. So it's a misinterpretation, and we have this problem. We are this responsibility is we are to blame, yeah, in a sense, because of our Instagram and our use of Facebook and things. We put this kind of thing, so people outside think that is that's pretty much gym or gymnast, and people are showing off. It's not that relevant.
Yeah,
that's
totally. Yeah,
challenge to
in
make
some way,
yoga.
yeah. Say again, you got cut off, Marcus. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the kind of challenge to make yoga more relevant for also for other people who really know yoga from these asanas and acrobatic things.
That's right. No, I agree totally. It's been also a challenge here where people have this perception of what they see yoga is, like from the media. And it's like, no, that's not for me. It's like some kind of also like intimidation. The idea that you have to be strong and flexible in order to begin to do the yoga itself is one that I kind of bump up against, which is why I really like the work of Shayna, what she's doing to make it accessible. Diane Bondi. I mean, there are multiple narratives of yoga going on. However, it's just like, what is the most celebrated? What's the most revered? What's the most visible, which is that very narrow definition of skinny, usually white, kind of acrobatic type of person, and that puts a lot of people off. And another question I had that was just coming in my mind is also, at least with a practice like Ashtanga, and if you're kind of doing it like, working through a series or a series and a half or 2 series, the issue of time, the time privilege it takes to do your practice daily can also be a point of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not always available for folks. So how do you, I guess, structure your classes in terms of like, how much time is available for the folks that you're trying to reach?
Yeah, that's also a great question. But before this question, to try to make this more inclusive at the university, for the folks, for the international community, as you, Wambi, and also Laruga Glazer, and also Shanna, and also the black folks, and people who are really trying, independent of the scheme, really trying to make yoga more accessible for other people. And we are seeing you, we are watching you, and you are influencing us, you're great influence, and we are really learning how to do this kind of thing, because we do not really have much in Brazil or South America of this kind of discourse of how to make yoga more inclusive, and this kind of silence in yoga, and these invisible folks and poor and black people. We do not really pay attention for this kind of thing, and we have great teachers. Unfortunately, they do not really use the media, the thousands of followers that they have to try to help these minorities here. So thank you very much again for your work, and we are watching, and we are learning, and we are trying to replicate things here in Brazil. So thank you. And about this inclusivity, for me personally, yoga has become a kind of a priority in my life. I was kind of sick of burning out because of the competitivity, and also the individuality, and this kind of just publishing papers. My kind of curriculum, my kind of was great, but my emotional life was terrible, miserable.
Yeah.
So yoga has brought this for me, and that's why I'm so grateful for yoga. So to hold some space for me and trying to make myself more stable and trying to help people. I didn't learn that at the university. I learned that with yoga and with Ashtanga and with discipline and holding space for me 2 hours a day to check my breath, my breathing, my health, and my mental states, and also my feelings. And this I've learned with Ashtanga and also with yoga. What I'm trying to do at the university, I teach myself and also my girlfriend here for a public who are not really Ashtangis, traditional, but we try to teach what we practice in order to be not artificial for us. Yeah, and we use the time that we have, the kind of free time that I have myself between my classes. So if I have a slot at a term, I go there and try to give a class. So it is pretty much 2 or 3 times a week with maybe an hour per day. Yeah. So this is an hour for me in a week, but for a person in a terrible state of depression, anxiety, and burnout, this is amazing. Yeah. This is so I'm giving an hour, but for this person, this is a great thing. So we can see during the months that how this person has grown, or became healthy because of this practice. So I try to adapt things, make some adaptations there. But I really try to use what I've learned. My experience is not with Hatha yoga or with Iyengar or with Shivananda. My experience with my daily practice with Ashtanga, I'm grateful for that. So I try to teach what I practice at home, and of course with adaptations.
Yeah. Beautiful. No, that sounds so good, and it's such a kind of rewarding a gift from God to be able to enjoy yoga, Ashtanga, and with good teachers. Leslie, I just caught that comment. Yes, agreed. It's so rewarding when you see the yoga it speaks for itself, and you see the process of people remembering and returning to themselves. And so this is wonderful. I'm glad to hear of the initiative that you're doing in Brazil. And so, Marcus, what did you have another point you wanted to make in your analytical list there?
Actually, I was when we are in a conference or something, giving a talk on something in the university, we try to write down the question so we do not forget. My kind of memory is not that good, so that's the point. And this is an initiative, and this is the crazy thing about the pandemic. I've never had this kind of social network. I was against of it. I was very conservative in a sense about this thing and photos. But with the pandemic, that was an opportunity for change.
Absolutely.
Now we have this account, and
I think many yoga teachers and practitioners have re-examined their relationship to social media. For me, I mean, obviously, it's a love-hate relationship where, it's like, wow, the world is at the fingertips and you can connect with so many amazing people. I mean, you reached out to me after Laruga. I went live with Laruga in July. So our relationship has been based through Instagram. And so for that, I love it. And for other times, I really need to ask myself, like, why am I going on Instagram, like, kind of compulsive and addiction? Like, what is this about? So there's definitely like the light and the shadow side. But for sure, I'm super grateful for being able to be in community with you. It's community. That's exactly what it is right now.
I was in Mysore this last season. Practicing with Sharati, and that's the internationality of the method is something great. That's I've learned there how a big family we have of Ashtangis and yoga practitioners all over the world. Yeah, people from Asia, people from South America, from Europe, and also everybody practicing together. I've
I
really
gotta
learned that
say, there's not enough people from the mother continent of Africa, though.
you're
People are
totally right.
sleeping on Africa in more ways than one, and so I just, part of me, it's like dreaming, like what would I like to see happen, and it's definitely like, yeah, I have plans when it comes to Africa. But that's a conversation for another day.
There's a conversation for another day. There we can see, I mean, in Mysore, in a place with 400 practitioners there, practicing with Sharathi, but we don't can with the fingers of one hand how many black people were there. That's crazy.
Yeah, this is a point that needs to be examined. And I saw Nan say, but Sharat is fantastic, but what about the locals? But it's not for the locals, you see. And Nan, I hear you and I agree with you completely. And this is something that needs to be examined for sure. When we are talking about the Ashtanga Yoga community in Mysore, like why is it still so kind of homogenous? And certainly the economic exclusivity of it, that is a huge barrier for so many people, because if you think even just like taking a month to study, first you have to pay the airfare, you have to pay the fees, you have to then find a substitute for somebody to, you have to like take time off work. And so if you're having a substitute teacher for your yoga space, then you're paying somebody to do it. I mean, it gets really, really like expensive. And Leslie is saying, I always found yoga for the elite. I currently practice for the project created by Marcus. One day I will go to Mysore. Thank you, Leslie, for your share. Yeah, so this is something I think we need to get very honest and creative about in Ashtanga Yoga, is the economic exclusivity of it, as well as like, especially as we are talking about solidarity amongst Black Ashtangis like you and I are doing, which is beautiful. I don't want to just end there, and I want to be in community with South Asians as well, of every tier, of every social tier, not just the upper caste Brahmin tier. If we're really talking about yoga being inclusive and accessible and representative of the kind of communities we want to be in. And for sure, one thing that has been left out of my yoga education has been examining India from a socio-cultural, a socio-historical perspective. And I think like most of the yoga education I received has been a very small slice. And so I'm definitely a little more critical, examining the lens through which the yoga practice has been transmitted. And I'm not like denouncing or like blaming, but I do just want to be very clear, like the lens through which the yoga has been transmitted has come from a very specific social location of Indian society. And what does that mean? What is that about?
Of course. And I really think, Sharat has such an influential, he plays such an influential role, yeah. And
absolutely.
To this kind of social thing, he has a scholarship.
Marcus, you cut off for a minute there. Marcus, you cut off for a minute there. You started off by saying Sharat has such an influential role. Can you continue from there? And Nan, can you tell me what book I need to read? So go ahead, Marcus. You were saying Sharat has such an influential role.
He plays such an influential role, but he does not really see how. I can be wrong, but he does not really. I do not see that he has a kind of sensitiveness towards this kind. Yeah. So because he has some scholarships, but scholarship for Indian folks, yeah. No scholarship whatsoever for Black folks or for any kind of minority there. And we are, we are really a minority there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, for 400 people and maybe 4 black people there, this is 1% of everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that is, it's not representative at all. Yeah, so maybe I do not know how to deal with this kind of thing, but was really something that annoyed me a lot there. Yeah, how not social oriented things can really can be. Yeah, just like
Yeah.
alienation. Yeah, all over the place.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So
And I mean, almost, yeah, and this is what Shane and I talked about. And Leslie, I'll get to your question in a minute, if I can, is that I think, and this is certainly what we're seeing on the macro level as well, because our yoga community is a micro representation of the world in which we find ourselves. Like, we are horizontal yogis, where we are not vertical yogis, where we go to a cave in the Himalayas somewhere and go deep into the workings of our mind, free from all the societal duties and responsibilities. Like, we are actively engaging and creating this society in which we live. And so, yes, so it's like we see that, like, I don't think it's a real waste of time and energy to wait and see things like a change from the top. It's really like what the values and the wishes and the priorities of the community is, because really the power is in the people. And
yeah,
so I just feel that for the bigger demographic, the majority demographic of Ashtanga yoga practitioners, these kinds of issues aren't really a priority. And so I'm kind of like in the, you know, because there's this push for abolition of white supremacy, of patriarchy, of misogyny, of capitalism. There's this push to abolish and end this, and diversity and inclusivity within these already oppressive structures is not going to cut it. And so for me, I'm in this interesting place of, do I try to like advocate for change within the system, which obviously like I'm not going to leave it. And for me, I'm dreaming like, what would new structures look like? Like, what does that look like? And that's very interesting for me, because I think it takes a lot of work to try and kind of like be in the inside and rearrange the furniture, but it's still like the master's house, like Audre Lorde talked about. Like, I don't want to just move furniture around and have like token a little bit more like representation, but the underlying root is still deeply unjust and inequitable. And I'm talking about the yoga world and the bigger world.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Please keep on doing your work. That's so important. Even if there is no, sometimes you think, oh, what I'm doing here in Instagram, and there's some silence, and the community is not following, and we are we are learning from you. Yeah, you guys, more experienced practitioners, you really play a significant role, much more powerful that you can think. Maybe 5 yoga teachers all over the world, if these 5 yoga teachers follows you and try to replicate your things in other places, your work has been done. Yeah, that's a great job. Yeah,
thank
not
you.
think
And I
about
just want to say that, like, I want to come to Brazil and learn from you. Like, I want it to be like just like a co-creation, because I know that there's so much that it's like, I just feel like it's not a hierarchical thing. Like, so my dream is to come and be in community with you, where we can co-create and we can actually practice all what we are kind of unlearning together. So I really appreciate your just your encouragement, and believe me, I've been getting a little bit tired, like, oh man, so I really
no,
appreciate
keep
that,
on
and it's
doing.
gonna give me it's gonna give me
Keep on
energy to
doing. Keep
keep
doing
going.
it. Yeah,
Nan, by
and
the way, thank you for your comments, and I really we need to have a conversation about colorism in South Asia, and that is absolutely something that needs to be done. Just to let you know, Nan, I see you, I hear you, and for sure I stand in solidarity with that. So Yes, looks like the comments are blowing off, and I'm trying to like manage too much going on. So, Marcus, yes,
just a
I'm
point.
with you.
I would like to challenge a little bit your view that yoga is a microcosmos of the big world outside yoga, but sometimes it can be a bubble and can be have a great distortion of the great.
Oh yes, I agree with
Totally
you.
that, yeah.
Can it be both? Can it be both? Two things can happen at the same time. No,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So for example, in Brazil, black people, not minority. We are more than the half of the population here. Okay.
Yeah, you are the majority.
And we have
But
this kind of social ideology of democracy here, of racial democracy. Yeah, this equality. But if you go to the prisons and see the marginality, and if you go to the deaths of the pandemic here, of the favela, poor people, and then you try to look at the places of power as universities, the politics, there is no black people there. Yeah, I mean, we are the great minority there. Yeah, so where are these balance things, and the university and also the yoga can mirror that and can be even worse in a sense in yoga. That is crazy because yoga have this kind of ahimsa and people with this kind of clarity of mind and also balanced people. But if you go to the studios, the yoga studios and shalas in Brazil, that is crazy. Where are the black teachers? Where are the black folks? Where are the black practitioners there? It's much worse than the university, and it's totally elite, yeah. So
I agree with you. We were in Brazil in 2000. When was it? 2018, I believe. We went to, oh God, what's the name? Natal.
yeah.
And you know, it's the same, Marcus. It's not just Brazil. It's the same pattern I have seen now in my 12 years in Scandinavia, throughout Europe, in South America, in the USA. The places that most Ashtanga yoga teachers frequent is extremely elite, it is extremely exclusive, and it is extremely problematic.
It can be not naturalized. Yeah, this not really belong to nature. That's something. This has a history of exploitation, and there's some social reason, and the people who could help to turn these things or to make this thing better or try to change things, they are just publishing pictures of themselves at Instagram. Yeah, that's crazy. Where are the kind of mentality yoga helping people, ahimsa, disrupting of violence, and people are trying
it's
just
so
making
shallow.
great
It's so shallow. Yeah. India too, Nan. Yes, I see you. India too, absolutely. And I just have to say that it's been privilege speaking to privilege. We just gotta like make that connection as well. Privilege speaking to privilege. And yeah, so we have time, but I would just love to drop this question in, Marcus, because it's been something I've been asking all folks who come. So, you know, a lot of energy gets spent, rightfully so, kind of pointing out what is wrong, what we don't want. And I just want to make sure we have enough energy and imagination and being well resourced to dream about what we do want. So if you're thinking like Yoga na Federal in 10 years, in 20 years, what are you dreaming like beyond your wildest dreams? If like money was not an issue, access to whatever you need to like manifest, what would you like to see?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, we have this kind of a special day at last week, which was the Martin Luther King discourse. I have a dream. Yeah, that was this commemoration of his speech there in Washington. And I have a dream too. Yeah, yoga for everybody. Yeah? There's no reason yoga could not be used as a tool of transformation, personal transformation, social transformation for a wider public. Yeah. There is our job as practitioners to make this more accessible, inclusive for everybody. I mean, it is cheap, yeah, it's cheap to practice yoga. We do not really need some equipment, some blocks, and some kind of ropes or some skin and kind of clothes, special
100 euro leggings.
Yeah,
100 euro leggings that's gonna help you do the poses.
Yeah, why this should be for elite? If it's so cheap to practice yoga, yeah. So, if in a sense we are trying to create some space here in Brazil, this yoga na federal has grown in a sense. We have a network now with some other universities, and we are trying to make this more accessible using the universities, the public universities, to bring yoga for everybody. It's a more humble, in a sense, humble scale. But it's a kind of first step. So if people can also support our group there, we have now a new Instagram account, is Rede Network in Portuguese, Rede Yoga.
Can somebody please put that in the, if people are in Marcus's network in Brazil, please put that in the comments so people know where to support and donate. Okay, so please somebody write it in.
So this is a new initiative. We are 6 university now, and we are kind of growing fast with other universities to bring yoga at least for people at the university and for the communities around the university. So things are kind of growing, and I think this is a new movement in Brazil, connecting yoga with social issues and social problems and investigations, and trying to make this more. Yoga can be really relevant. It's not an asana thing at the Instagram. Why should we support this kind of thing? Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
I absolutely. You know, and one thing I've been doing is divesting from the accounts that only have that, like this perfect feed of like these. And look, if that's your thing, do your thing, but I'm not going to invest any more time and energy buying into that. So I've been like unfollowing and like really combing through my account and aligning myself with people who are doing this work, And so people like, we absolutely like have to divest and really align our energies with what we say we want, right? Thank you, Ju Ferraro. Sorry, for putting in the Heji Yoga. That sounds so beautiful, Marcus. And I had something on the top of my head that I wanted to say that I forgot, and I think I interrupted you.
Thank you for giving us some here in this. Bring this internationality for our local initiatives in Brazil, in a sense. And I would like to use some minutes to also ask for some international help, international pressure. Yeah, in Brazil, in South America, and we are living in a conservative wave and a political conservative wave that is very dangerous for the minorities here. We have our Trump, our threat here, which is Bolsonaro is our president, and he has 1/3 of the population supporting him, and it's crazy. He's destructing the Amazonia. He's destructing the indigenous people. All the minorities are suffering under his power. And if you guys all over the places in the world have some international pressure on this, I think you could help us. Yeah, the place. This is a right-wing wave in all of the world, with Trump and Brexit in Poland, in Hungary. But here in Brazil, we have this kind of natural sources, which are in danger. Okay, our natural sources are in danger because of our president. these Amazonian forests, and also indigenous people. And this guy is really in a destruction plan of everything. So if you can support art and also with the Trump strategies too, with lies, with fake news, with fear and violence and instability. It's crazy what's happening here.
Absolutely. Marcus, we will support, and Ju says don't buy anything that comes from the Amazon rainforest. So anything that you post, people, please be sure to reshare. And also anytime you use the hashtag Black Lives Matter, please also put the Vidas Negras Importam hashtag side by side, just so we can be in solidarity, not only with the northern part of the Americas, but the southern part as well. So I make a vow in front of all of you that I'm gonna do my part to highlight and share and donate when I can. One question I did want to get into, because I'm super interested in this, Marcus, just going back to the yoga and trying to make it inclusive for Black Brazilians. Is religion an aspect that turns people off? Do they see yoga as some kind of like exotic, weird demon religion?
It's a good question. We have this kind of religious, also is very much connected to our president's power. He was elected because of this, also because of this. This is a kind of radical Christianity here. And they are very fundamentalist in a sense, and we have really we are trying to organize this yoga network for the yoga at the universities for free as a social program all over the Brazil. To not use or not be very sensitive to this kind of religious sensitiveness in a sense. So we not really sing mantras or say something about Ganesha and something about Shiva. We try to be more outside of this more religious or spiritual thing and bringing this more for this mindfulness and more the presence and your body and health things. It's a kind of a strategical step, not to be in conflict with this, because they are powerful. They are powerful. This fundamentally,
no, I well believe it.
Powerful. Unfortunately.
And finally, one thing that in my personal spiritual evolution that has been happening just very kind of organically and naturally, is that the more I'm doing this practice that I learned from a very specific place and a very specific lineage in South Asia, Mysore, India, the more I'm learning about my own history, my own ancestry, the more I'm connecting with my own indigenous wisdom and the indigenous wisdom of my ancestors. And so, you know, hold on, I have to show you one thing. So I have like, one sec. So I have, you know, I start to have pictures of my relatives, my ancestors on the altar, and my friend Antoine, who's a very talented painter here, gifted me with this. So this starts to be on my altar because this is reflecting what I connect with, what my power is. And this is something that I know is so deeply rich in Brazil, amongst the just, you know, so I guess I just want to share this to inspire folks to connect with their indigenous wisdom that's inherent in their blood, in their ancestry. And I was thinking like this, and again, where it gets a bit tricky if we start to get into cultural appropriation and how much are we gonna kind of like, I don't want certainly to distance the stewardship and the place that the yoga we practice comes from, absolutely not. And at the same time, since I am not South Asian, I start to kind of like question, like, well, why would I be chanting to Ganesh or Shiva if that's not in my lineage, if that's not in my blood and my bones? And so I had to really begin to ask, well, what is in my blood and my bones? And I guess I would just invite you to think like ways when you're talking about making the yoga relevant for Black Brazilians, like there's a wealth of ancestral knowledge and beauty and culture that is not separate from yoga at all, right? So just to kind of, I guess, just grant ourselves the permission to like fuse in a very natural way to make this yoga relevant and come alive for us as indigenous people, because that is who we are.
Yeah, I think two things on comments on that. This is great. I really love your point of view on this thing. Two things. We are practitioners of yoga. Yeah, so you're practicing the yamas and yamas. We are practicing
Yes.
ahimsa. Yeah, the first Patanjali ethical work.
First
Ahimsa,
one.
yeah, I mean, ahimsa means that you're disrupting harm. Yeah, not passively but actively. Yeah, actively.
I mean,
disrupting
karma yoga, yoga
karma
action.
yoga.
I mean,
Yeah. So this is important. Yeah, yoga is not asana and the legs behind the head, but it's also disrupting harm and violence. Actively
I love
disrupting
that.
harm.
I love that.
That needs to be political and social orientated too. Yeah. And the second thing is that yoga brings us, I mean, down to earth in a sense. We have to have our feet on the earth and very stable on the earth and within our bodies. And this is kind of against or something different from this more very intellectual and abstract way of thinking. I mean, Euro-centric, in a sense, way of thinking philosophical things. Our philosophy doing yoga is our bodies.
Oh no, you just cut off Marcos. That was so good. You cut off a little bit and it was so rich and deep what you were saying. I was riding that wave with you.
Yeah.
So yes, the abstract part
this indigenous wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah, this
Say again, the
I
indigenous.
was trying to connect to your indigenous, the indigenous wisdom. It's not outside yoga, but it's also a part of yoga because you're kind of going back to our roots, yeah, and trying to in respectful way to see how our body and how we are connected to the earth and this kind of thing, yeah. So our philosophy is not a philosophy of abstract things or intellectual things outside of the world or transcendent. Our philosophy is our bodies, yeah, and how we are disrupting harm in the world, yeah, in a political.
Preach. That's so beautiful, Marcos. I just have to now. And making the world what?
And trying humbly to make the world a better place. I think it's that.
Yeah, to say I was of help, and this is how. Continue the work of our ancestors. We have 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining. I just want to thank you so much for coming here. I had so much fun. It was such a rich conversation. I'm dreaming, I'm co-creating of coming and doing a retreat with you and all the Black yoga teachers, Black Ashtangis. So find a venue. Let's make it as inclusive as possible. The sky is the limit here. We are just limited by our imagination and nothing else. Is there anything else you'd like to say in this last minute, Marcos?
Yeah, you can count on me. Yeah, this is the first step for something new and original, and we are working hard here for making things more inclusive and more accessible for people, not a elite, but not for rich and everybody. Yoga for everybody, and also in fora Bolsonaro, fora Bolsonaro. Yeah.
Fora Bolsonaro, fora Bolsonaro. I even understand that one. Out with Bolsonaro. That's right, man. And out with he who shall not be named in the north, his crony in the north. Black lives matter, y'all. Vidas negras importam in yoga, in everywhere. Yoga is life, yoga for all. Marcus, I'm just waiting for the day when we can be live in person on Brazilian soil or in Africa or somewhere else. Bye, take care. Bye.